So, in the last week, we arrived after the introductory chapter, case studies. A case study started two criteria, human evolution, which based to the two actors, the Earth and the humankind. Last week I spoke about evolution of Earth. It's only a short survey. It's Earth located to the Sun system. Inner part, it's a Earth-type planets, because there is a Jupiter. You know the basic information. You are a geographer. A Jupiter-based, it's a gas planets, and soil-like planets like Earth. It's an inner part. And Earth is very special in the inner part of the Sun system. Largest terrestrial planet. It's formed around 4.5 billion years ago, according to American English. Highest density, highest surface gravity, and the strongest magnetic field. Is very important because this is the shield around the Earth, and the fastest rotation. Very important information, the chemical composition. Not by chance, oxygen's one of the highest rate in the composition of Earth, and I avoided the sulfur because first form of the life appeared on the sulfur-based construction, and the oxygen only a little bit later, and sulfur-based life was appearance of oxygen is a toxic. And the majority of sulfur-based form of the life killed by the proliferation of oxygen. Okay, we are living in the third Earth. The first was like sun based to helium and hydrogen, and later the second one, carbon dioxide, ammonia, nitrogen, vapor vapor, and started the formation of a third type atmosphere after the Great Oxidation event. Okay, biosphere, the basic elementary information. This was the last slide, the milestone of formation of evolution. And the last one, 200 million years ago, appeared and proliferated the mammals, and 2.5 million years ago, genus Homo became a dominant and determining species of the evolution. Okay, this is the first slide today. Look at the human evolution. About the human evolution, very important, taking a short survey like before, primates, ancestor of the primates appeared 85 million years ago. And it's bifurcated the tree of evolution in different directions. And 18 million years ago, it's bifurcated the lineage of gibbons and the direction toward the human. And orangutan, approximately around 12 million years ago, bifurcated, and between 8 to 4 million years ago, gorillas, and the lastest one, a chimpanzee, which bifurcated from the direction of human. And the DNA, the closest DNA is a chimpanzee. It's a chimpanzee. But very interesting, it's, you know about the experiment, try to learn speaking gorillas. It was a famous story in the 70s. A lot of times try to learn human-like communication, but the vocal organs on the neck of apes not able for communication, not able for a scattered communication like a human. Therefore, change the strategy in the 60s and apply the sign alphabet. And this was very surprising. And the best, I remember I read in the National Geography, the cleverest gorilla was a Maori, a female gorilla. And she learned a very large 500 words vocabulary. And verified that able not only communicate with the humans, but made a new words. For example, look at the duck, and she knew the word of water and the bird, and created a new word, water bird, for the duck. And for example, the most interesting question, ask her identity. Who are you? It's a crucial question for everybody. And two options offered for her. You are animal and you are a person. And answer of Mary was very clever. I am not animal or person, human. I am a fine gorilla. It's a very proud girl. Okay, but it's bifurcated. The chimpanzee is the closest, but education with the gorillas perform much better, according to, for example, sign alphabet, deaf and dumb alphabet. Okay, anyway, approximately around 2.5 million years ago became a determining species of evolution of Earth, a human. And very interesting, looking at the tree of evolution, the first impression, evolution played a lot of different versions. Recently, there is only one species, Homo sapiens sapiens. It's exceptional in the history of human evolution, because the evolution played more possibilities. And recently, only one, Homo sapiens sapiens. Homo egaster, Homo mauritanicus, Homo erectus, and I call your attention, the most successful species or subspecies of human evolution was Homo erectus. Homo erectus appeared on the history of evolution approximately 1.5 million years ago, and date of extinction only 100,000 years ago. The most successful and the best performance of Homo erectus, domestication of fire. This is the first example of technology, application of technology. Because any other making devices, there is example on the world of animal, making and bringing the devices. It's not real innovation. The first real innovation was domestication of fire, made by Homo erectus. And Homo neanderthalensis, Homo sapiens, and a lot of other subspecies lived together. About the evolution of humankind, there is recently most generally accepted theory, the two theory, the east side story, the savanna theory, or a little bit, it's a minority of anthropologists support aquatic ape hypothesis. Savanna east side story theory based to the Eastern African origin. You know, this is the Horn of Africa. It's a technical sense, it's very fragile zone. There are a lot of volcanoes and the lakes and volcanoes. And for example, on the geography of Africa, there is only one Hungarian name. No any other, only one Hungarian name, Samuel Teleki. Samuel Teleki lived in the 19th century, was a great geographer and hunter, and traveled a lot in Africa, and discovered one volcano in this rupture area, tectonic rupture area, named Volcano Teleki. No any other Hungarian name on the map of Africa, only this one. Okay, turn back to the story. This is a tectonical line. You know the global tectonical processes. A continent is wandering, moving in geographical and geological time, one to other. For example, in the historical past, Madagascar, island of Madagascar, was a part of Africa. And will happen, in geological sense, this area will move into the direction of Indian Ocean. Therefore, It's very sensible. A lot of earthquake, volcano eruption. It's named geologically active area. In consequence of that, in this area, approximately 10 million years ago, this area rose up, and the tropical forest converted to savanna. In consequence of that, changed basically the landscape. Therefore, the apes, the ancestor of the chimpanzee, gorillas, and the human, had to change strategy of survival. And this is the archaeological sites where found archaeological evidences about the human evolution. Two areas, eastern part of Africa and southern part of Africa. According to theory, change a close tropical forest to savanna. Therefore, the early ancestor of us had to walk large distances. Therefore, the crucial consequence of that was a bipedal walking, which changed a lot. For example, changed the position of vocal organs, which opened the way for example, speech and the speech-based communication. And, for example, opened the hand for making devices for using, for fight, and so and so. Therefore, the bipedal walking was a crucial change in the human evolution. One part of apes who lived in this area escaped back to the tropical forest, other one died, but a small minority survived in consequence of adaptation. Okay, look at the other theory, aquatic ape hypothesis. First time a Greek philosopher wrote that the human lived and human evolution unfolded in the water covered surface. Basically, the human, it's very close relative to animal living in the water, in the ocean, not ocean, more generally in the sea, Aegean Sea, basically. It was a theoretical approach, but very interesting. A lot of later, two British scholars, Alistair Hardy and Alan Morgan, introduced a new theory. It's not direct evidences, but only indirect. Philosophical evidences are. And a lot of the most important arguments beside the aquatic ape hypothesis. Why so important? Because a human located in the middle of chain of consummation between, for example, rabbit and the tiger or lion. Therefore, early human community, herds, is very sensible and very fragile. Therefore, necessary to find a safe place for them. Which are the safe place? For example, a little bit later I will show one movie about the early human evolution, the fight of fire. It's made at the beginning of 80s in the 20th century. I will show example for that. Which is the safe place? Up to 3, for example, safe place. And other safe place might be a shallow water. A shallow water. Not deep water, shallow water. Running through the water. Why? Because majority of predator, a cat-like predator, tiger, lion, don't like the water. Therefore, escape to the water, it's a safe place for them. Why no archaeological evidences? Because on the time of human evolution, which unfolded between 2.5 million years ago and closed at the dawn of history 10,000 years ago, unfolded in Ice Age, Pleistocene Ice Age, and the global water level 100 meters lower. Potential archaeological site, there is 100 meters under the sea level. under the sea level. Therefore, no direct archaeological evidence is the potential shallow water archaeological site. Indirect, for example, indirect evidence is beside the aquatic ape hypothesis. Was the body hurt? Was the body hurt? Compare, for example, cats, compare with, for example, other mammals. Facilitation of bipedal walking. If somebody, there is an injury, accident, it's recovery, used a water recovery, for example, in the basin recovery, facilitation the bipedal walking. Therefore, maybe this is an impetus onto the direction of bipedal walking. Skin bonded fat deposit, look at me, under the, it's a very important peculiarity of mammals living in the sea. Breath control. Try, for example, swimming with dog or cat. Don't like to take the head under the water. Not able to stop the breath. The human able to stop the breath. Web between the fingers. It's possible, not us, but 7%, according to statistical experiment, statistical reconstruction, there is an atavism that 7% of human are a little bit larger than that. For example, swimmers, it's a great advantage for them. Don't wear watching nose, because if somebody moving down to the water, take a pressure, high pressure inside of the nose, and not flowing into the water. Slowing heartbeat under the water. It's a regular reaction of the human body, standby function, standby, because slow down the breath, slow down the heartbeat. Diving reflex. You know probably the babies until 3 months able spontaneously a diving reflex. Under the water and no panic, stop the breath. And affection of the water. On the mammals, quite rare, like the water. Look at, for example, cats. Look at, for example, the domesticated. Majority don't like swimming. And the human enjoy. And the human sphere and the tear salty. And it's very, I don't know why verify that, but losing the saline water, it's very dangerous for the human. I don't know why. It's only I read in the list of beside the aquatic ape hypothesis, and this is this argument on the side that human evolution unfolded in salt-rich environment, because the body, it's on the, for example, sweating and tearing without any consequences, lost the salt content. Okay, no direct information, no direct evidences. Therefore, the aquatic hypothesis is somehow a heresy inside of the human evolution. Okay, look at the Earth. Look at the Earth. Recently, we are living ice age. It's very surprising because which is the most important global problem? Global warming. But the criterion of ice age, ice cover on the poles. Look at, there is ice cover on the poles. Therefore, this is ice age. But in the history of Earth, had ice age only 4 times. Huronian, when appeared a proliferated oxygen and decreased the carbon dioxide on the atmosphere, it started and launched ice age. A snowball Earth, it's very important, whole of the surface covered by ice and snow. Andean-Saharan ice age and the current ice age, which named a Pleistocene ice age. According to official geographical and geological reconstruction, ice age, it's closed 11,700 years ago. But nobody agreed with this conclusion. Some geographer and some geologists named this period a Flandrian interglacial. Why? Because between the last glacial period, because you are a geographer, you know much better, but necessary to mention, ice age not mean continuously very, very cold period. It was a changing of warmer and colder period, glacial and interglacial. And the last interglacial, before the Holocene, unfolded between 130,000 and 110,000 years ago. Its two names, Rieswurm, according to German vocabulary, or according to Northwestern European vocabulary, Amian interglacial. It's longer than our interglacial. It's 20,000 years ago. 20,000 years ago, whole of the interglacial. Why interesting? Because in England, British Isles, the climate in this interglacial was subtropical. Subtropical. Lived, for example, a hippopotamus, hippopotamus. In England, found in geological sites the relics of hippopotamus, lions. Therefore, inside of the Pleistocene Ice Age had much warmer period than recently. Therefore, it's possible some years ago the crucial and the final problem of the humankind wasn't the global warming, turning back the Ice Age. We are not able to forecast the future. But very interesting, very interesting. But the generally accepted from 11,700 started the Holocene, the recent geological age, and the forming. Okay, next step. Cause of Ice Age, atmospheric composition change. When, for example, happened the great oxidation event, proliferated the plants and bacteria who was able photosynthesis, decreased the carbon dioxide. Without carbon dioxide and without greenhouse gases, temperature, global temperature of the Earth should to be minus 17 Celsius degree. Without greenhouse gases. It's very important. Greenhouse gases, without greenhouse gases, not chance for any form of civilization. Therefore, the greenhouse gases are a crucial factor of civilization, but the proportion is a sensible question. The second one, change of Earth orbit around the Sun. For example, if we try to describe astronomical condition of orbit around the Sun, this is the trajectory of Earth around the Sun. And it's very important, according to climate change, the form of the trajectory and the position close and far from Sun. If winter time, close to the Sun, receive higher radiation. Its far position, for example, in winter time, receive less radiation, less solar radiation. Moreover, axis of Earth is close with the lap of trajectory around the Sun with 66.7 degrees. And very important that the Sun, it's not a unique planet, but mechanical science stabilize the trajectory of Sun by Moon. Without Moon, It's a mechanical system, Moon and the Earth. The axis position, there is a small rotation, but basically the axis position stabilized by Moon. And for example, change the form of trajectory, change, and there is a rotation of axis, and sun close and sun far position. There is a rhythm, each of them. And a very famous Serbian astrologist, Milan Milankovic, calculated and combined the different elements of the orbit around the sun, and recently this is one of the most accepted theory of the Ice Age. Tectonic planets moving in geological paths, variation of solar output, you know, the 11 years long changing of sunspot, and orbital dynamics of Earth-Moon system, relatively large meteorites. For example, the dinosaur killed a huge meteorite. It's fall into the Bay of Mexico, but recently it's renamed by President Trump to Bay of America, I don't know which is the new name, because the Gulf of Mexico, original name, but Trump renamed. But I know, I wasn't occasion memorized. And the last one, volcanism, volcano eruption. Volcano eruption not only short-term able to change the climate, but launch, for example, feedback mechanism. And sometimes a series of volcano eruption able to change basically. This is the general reason of climate and mainly Ice Age periods. Okay, look at the last 2.5 thousand million years ago. This is the history of Pleistocene Ice Age. This is the recent time. Geologists using a little bit strange diagrams according to simple person, and you can see approximately started here the Pleistocene Ice Age. And if we are looking the trajectory of diagram, not evident that closed the Ice Age. This kind of the diagrams a little bit usable on the side of argument that we are living only in interglacial and didn't close Pleistocene Ice Age. This is the trajectory. Okay? Look at the next one. The history and the geological changing on the landscape, it's quite easy to follow. As I mentioned, this is the timeline of the glacier. Started the Brüggen glacier, the Gellern interglacier. This is the German European chronology of glacier. Iberian, Waal, Güls, Kommer, Mindel, Holstein, and the M. This was the M when lived hippopotamus in British Isles. And Würm and we are living interglacial. This is the glaciological timeline. It's indicate only interglacial, not closing the ice age, only interrupt. Good. If we are looking this polar ice, it's covered and flow down until the boundary of North Sea. And vegetation on the glacial maximum compressed toward the equator. And very interesting, of course, in Africa wasn't ice-covered area, only the highest mountain area, but the most important indicator of disaster on the Pleistocene Ice Age was the drought, the dry period. For example, the most critical period in the human evolution happened in 74,000 years ago. It was the age of eruption of Toba, volcano Toba. Volcano Toba. You listened about the accident? It was the deepest natural disaster. Why? Because launched a very, very devastating drought in Africa, and the population of human decreased under 5,000. This is the threshold of extinction. Very, very near onto the threshold of extinction. Okay, finally, this is the Holocene, as I mentioned, or Anthropocene, or Flanders Interglacial. Other timeline which we are using for human history, this is the archaeological timeline, based on the devices used by our ancestors. Paleolithic age, it's not so fine constructed devices. Mesolithic, Neolithic, it's a fine devices. Copper Age appeared, the minting technology. Bronze Age and Iron Age. Good. Turn back a little bit to the human evolution. Two basic theories are until now African origin, and very interesting in China, it's very popular, a multi-regional evolution of human. That Chinese came from the other ancestors, but it's only a minority accept. Basically, Chinese scholar support this theory. Okay, the first human subspecies who was able to making devices was a Homo habilis, appeared 2.5 and extinct around 1.6 million years ago. And the most successful human is a Homo erectus. Appeared, it's more optimistic because generally a little bit later dating the appearance, but disappeared. The date of extinction leave together Homo neanderthalensis and the Homo sapiens sapiens 2. It was very successful. And the Homo erectus is domesticated the fire. And 2 times at least a Homo left Africa. Two gate had for the migration, the what toward Arabian Peninsula and the Near East through the recent Red Sea, but why open? Because the water level was 100 meters lower. It's not a strait, but a land bridge. The same situation happened onto the direction of Iberian Peninsula. The Homo erectus was the first subspecies who left Africa. And the wandering to the continental area, follow the coastal area, and finally, only 50 or 60,000 years ago, crossed to the Bering land bridge, not straight land bridge, and other direction from Malaysia to Australia. This was the last phase of migration. And very interesting story, how was able to travel from Indonesia, not Malaysia, Indonesia to Australia. Because Australia is very far, not visible to the coast of Australia. Basically, the archaeologists agree for 2 indirect information guiding the contemporaries. The first one, it's a wandering birds moving to the direction of Australia. This was the same story in the case of Vikings. Vikings, Norsemen, discovered, for example, Greenland, discovered Americas, and follow the wandering birds. For example, I don't know, it's a goose, I remember. Because the wandering birds moving probably a continental area. Other one, a typical disaster of Australia, it's a bush firing. And the bushfire disaster made a great smoke chimneys, which visible for very far. Therefore, the navigator who discovered aboriginals, who discovered the way for Australia, used a direction moving of wandering birds and smoke chimneys. Okay, but look at the domestication of fire. Domestication of fire, no reliable starting date, but estimation, it's very close to the appearance of Homo erectus. Around 150 years, 1,000 years ago, almost each human community had a fire. Which are the precondition of the fire? Oxygen. It's appeared after the great oxidation event. Bacteria and later plants able to transform the chemical energy to the nuclear energy of sun, solar radiation to chemical energy. Oxygen and the fuel, this is the photosynthesis and the heat. Generally it was lighting. The early generation of human wasn't able to make fire, only saved lighting, made fire. Okay, we will see this French movie about what, look at the consequences. I will make a comment about this movie. It's made by a French director, Jean-Jacques Annaud. About the story, it's a story that one human community lost the fire, but without fire not able to survive. Therefore, launch 3 hunters, find a fire. A little bit later we will see. Which is the form of application of fire. 2 ways of application of fire. Earth. Why so important? Because the human able left Africa and discover, for example, cold countries. Because bringing the earth, bringing the oven, bringing the heating mechanism with them. Moreover, able to cook. Cooking. Why so important the cooking? You live together with the cats? Cats. You eat. How long sleeping are cats? How many hours?
15 minutes.
Lot.
20 minutes.
16. This is the average. 16 hours sleeping. 2 hours find the ideal position for the sleeping. Why? Not lazy. And according to, for example, biologists, the best constructed animal is a cat. Why? Each cat, physical construction are the same. From the tiger to the simplest version of the house cat. The same construction, no differences. Only the size, of course. Okay, and why sleeping so long? Because a digestion on the stomach, a fresh meat, it's very hard work. It's possible you tasted, how the name is, there is a meal, it's not a cooked meal, it's a Mongolian, how the name, I lost the name, I hope I will remember. That, but for example, on the time we killed a pig, because I socialized a rural area, and on my childhood, each year killed 2 pigs and elaborated for ourselves. And for example, tasting the sausages, it was a very dangerous because it was a fresh meat. And the digestion, like for example, taking a brick onto the stomach, it's very hard work. Therefore, necessary long recovery in consequence of harsh digestion. But, for example, one crucial advantage of cooking is optimized digestion. Somehow cooking is a digestion and saving the critical element of the raw material of the meals. For example, vitamin, trace elements, For example, there is a special technology, I don't know the English term, Hungarian, it's a confit. It's a very low temperature cooking for days. Therefore, save the critical elements of the meals. Hungarian is a confitani. I don't know. It's a low temperature cooking long time, saving the critical element. Therefore, cooking, improve the position for digestion of the stomach. And if somebody able to cook well, increase the time or free activities. Therefore, cooking, it is one side. Other one, with help of cooking, a lot of raw material, plants and animals, make edible. Increase the size, increase the circle of edible raw material. Okay. Decrease the time of digestion and increase the spectrum of raw material for cooking. Other one, a torch and weapon. Majority of animals afraid from the fire. This is the first real step from the animal world for the human domestication of fire. Look at the consequence. The most important consequence of domestication of fire are technological dependence. Somehow, on our life, the electric supply, like a fire for the ancestor. Majority of our devices not able to function without electric supply. It's technological dependence. You lost the smartphone, it's paralyzed, it's technological dependence. The first form of technological dependence appeared after the domestication of fire. The second one, fuel demand. It's no fuel, not able to make a fire. Step by step, a problem of fuel demand solved with technological innovation. For example, in the historical past, used only fire, only trees for making the fire. Later appeared the coal, appeared the gas, appeared oil, and nuclear power. It's step by step. It's a technological pressure to move to the contemporary society, introduce new technology. But very interesting, if we are looking at technological sense, the recent civilization, we are in critical situation. Why? Because we are using the technology of the 19th century. Majority of our technology invented in the 19th century. Look at the electric engine, combustive engine. For example, coal and the gas and the oil. The 20th century take into the public service only one technology, new technology, nuclear power. It's very critical. And we are recently, basically 90%, we are using energetical sense the technology of the 19th century. Look at, for example, a car. The T model of Ford was the same that our contemporary. For example, a service, a comfort of the car much better, but the technology are the same. Combustive engine and basically are the same. Basically, I don't know the technological terms of the car industry, but the same technology. On the comfort service, much better. For example, air conditioning and so and so. But we are recently, it's interrupt technological sense. And pollution, smoke and ash. If somebody living in the industrial area in the city, not the same quality of the air. For example, air of Szeged is very bad. Why? Because we are on the bottom of the Carpathian Basin, on the bottom. And moreover, around us there are agrarian area. For example, northwestward a sandy area. And the main direction of the wind is northwest, and floating a lot of dust on the water, on the air, and the respiration is making inside of our lungs. Okay, look at Earth function, torch and weapon, consequence, power, technological dependence, fuel demand, and the pollution. Okay, look at a movie. Interrupt making record because copyright for copyright. Once I make